Hey, this is Matt once again. Welcome back to another video. This is another paid request, this time for Bronson. Thank you so much for that. And for those interested in requesting any type of videos or topics, reactions, commentaries, what have you, feel free to send it either directly to my PayPal or join my Patreon. Both links are down below in the info box. And Bronson wanted me to talk about my top 10 favorite Christopher Walken performances. So I guess not so much the movies he's in, but his performances specifically. And Christopher Walken is one of those guys that I do think is a really good actor. Nowadays, kind of looked at as not really as a punchline, but people you'll think of his mannerisms and the way he talks. And yeah, that one music video where he's dancing the whole time, and of course the Saturday Night Live cowbell and need more cowbell. It's like some people tend to forget how much of a good actor he was, although in recent years I don't think he's really been utilized as much as he should have been. But looking through his films, I would say number one, my favorite performance would be The Dead Zone. Stephen King adaptation, directed by David Cronenberg. You really feel sorry for his character going through the trials and tribulations that he goes through. Car accident, his life is pretty much gone. He's now got this power, trying to figure out how to use, utilize, deal with it. These crazy visions that he's having. The ice is going to break. Up until the tragic ending. Uh, he's definitely the best part of the film. I do like the movie. It's probably be in my top 5 Cronenberg movies. And yeah, I definitely have to give it to The Dead Zone and his character of Johnny. Number 2, I would say All American Murder. And people go, really? Any movie that has Christopher Walken, the first scene, there's a standoff where a bunch of cops are outside, a bad guy's inside with hostages, and Walken brought the guy's wife, and he's saying lines like, "Your wife here, I never forget a face, especially if I sat on it. I thought Jaws only moved that fast in water. She says you have a problem, don't you? It's called limp dick." It just the I like that film. One of the reasons is just Christopher Walken's quirky performance as the detective. Like he tells a story about how his marriage didn't really work out, and his wife, went with a guy who owned like a cheese factory and made a ton of money. And hey, it worked out. She has someone, and I did law cheese every Christmas. Something like that. It's so quirky and weird that I find it rather entertaining. Number 3, King of New York as Frank White. A great trailer. Like you watch the trailer, I can't remember when I first saw the trailer. I think it was in front of The Punisher with Dolph Lundgren or Jacob's Ladder. Is one of those VHS tapes. It was The Punisher or Jacob's Ladder. One of them, I saw the trailer to this multiple times. Until eventually I did see the film. And you have a great cast. You got a very young Wesley Snipes in a supporting role, David Caruso, Lawrence Fishburne, and of course, Christopher Walken is Frank White, who's gotten out of jail, and he wants to renew his empire. And just how sinister and how cold-blooded he can be in that. You looked at Al Pacino in Scarface. You looked at Wesley Snipes in New Jack City. It's kind of in that vein, but not exactly. Abel Ferrara, who did Bad Lieutenant, directed it. I may not be big on the other guy who's like the main cop. because I'm like, there's all these other actors I kind of wish was in that role, preferably. But Christopher Walken just magnetizing in that role as Frank White. I don't want to give too much away for those who haven't seen Teen of New York, but definitely check it out, at least for his performance. Number four, At Close Range, where that film stars Sean Penn, who's with his brother in the movie and in real life, Chris Penn, and his buddies, which includes Stephen Jeffries from Fright Night, a very young Kiefer Sutherland who has like maybe two lines in the movie, and what's his name? The dad in Back to the Future, Crispin Glover. And his father has been seen for a while, but he comes back in the town, and Sean Penn is kind of drawn to him. And Christopher Walken, he's a criminal. Sean Penn kind of gets a little bit into the life of that. And Christopher Walken is able to turn from seeming like a nice, cool father, but when his business, his livelihood is threatened, he could turn on a dime and just be as cold-blooded as possible, even if it has to murder his own son or his son's friends. And again, just how much of a hateable person he is in that movie. Christopher Walken does a wonderful job in that one. Plus, that's a film that features some really good music from the guy who I think he worked with Madonna, and then Madonna did a song, Live to Tell, because Sean Penn and Madonna were an item at the time. But you know, I like the film, and Christopher Walken gives a good performance in that one. Number five, I put The Prophecy, the Archangel Gabriel. It's been a while since I've seen that film, so maybe if I saw the film again, it would be higher. Maybe if I saw the film again, it'd be like top 3 or something, but it's been a while since I've seen it. I know he was in the first 3 Prophecy movies as the Archangel Gabriel. I think he's the villain in the first 2, and then he's kind of not a villain in the third one. I do remember having a lot of fun with the role. Like, he's having a bit of a fight with Elias Koteas, Casey Jones from the 1990 Ninja Turtles film. And Elias is getting the upper hand, and Walt is like, man, you gotta come work for me. Man, you're up there, you get all the free ice cream you want. Which I know they just got an announcement from Vendor Syndrome, like a 4K of the 3 films. I'm not going to get that because shit's way too expensive, but I do remember liking at least the first one. I don't remember anything about the other ones. I know the first one, like I said, has Elias Koteas. Viggo Mortensen is in it as Lucifer. Eric Stoltz is in the film. So, pretty decent cast. Number 6, I'm going to say The Rundown. Really? Yeah, I liked his villain character in The Rundown because it's a very fun villain that is played only how Christopher Walken can play that. I mean, first off, I think it's The Rock, Dwayne Johnson's best movie, The Rundown. It's one of Peter Berg's best directed movies, in my opinion. But Christopher Walken is having fun, like when he's trying to explain to the cohorts about how he wants something back, and then he tries to compare it to the Tooth Fairy. He's trying to explain to these people who don't speak English the Tooth Fairy, and they didn't understand what he said, so this other guy has to explain it. But goddamn, she takes the goddamn thing and gives you a quarter. Okay, they got my tooth, I want it back. So he plays a fun, entertaining, maybe not as threatening as a villain as compared to Teen of New York or other stuff, but at least an entertaining villain. That literally, he dies by talking himself to death. He talks his way into a posse killing him. Now, I wasn't sure which was going to be 7 or 8. It's between these two. Number 7, I'm going to put Batman Returns, his performance as Matt Shrek. Just, what's his first name? I know his last name is Shrek. Just because of certain moments that stand out, like when Michelle Pfeiffer is scared and Walken is being scary, and it's like, huh? Huh? I'm kidding, right? So it'd be like disarming. Then all of a sudden, he just pushes her out the damn window to her potential death. And the way he's trying to smooth things out with the penguin. It's not a big, like, there's not a lot of running time for Christopher Walken's character. But at the same time, it is, nice little support to have in there. Because I also liked his performance in Man on Fire. Again, he doesn't have a whole lot of scenes in that movie, but he's a good ally to Denzel Washington. Has some nice speeches about how he's going to paint his best picture, his work of art. But Batman Returns maybe a little bit more animated of a performance here in Man on Fire, which it calls for a bit more of a, not somber, a bit more low-key performance, but I still thought it was a good addition to Man on Fire. So I'll say Batman Returns 7, Man on Fire 8. In terms, again, these are not which movies I think are better, it's performances. If you wonder why I don't have The Deer Hunter, honestly haven't seen The Deer Hunter. I've seen clips of it. I can't base it on just clips I've seen. So, 7 Batman Returns, 8 Man on Fire. And then number 9, I put Nick of Time, and 10, I put Sleepy Hollow. Number 9, Nick of Time. It's not a film I love, but Christopher Walken, like I said, he works fairly well as a villain. I thought he had some good tension between him and Johnny Depp. Him steering the shit out of Johnny Depp or trying to force him to do what he wants him to do. I definitely think those scenes to be fairly effective. The film itself, I don't mind. There's certain ways I think the tension could have been tightened even more so. Like, Nick of Time is a film that I think if Brian De Palma had directed the film, it would have been much better. I like John Badham, I just don't think that's the kind of film that was for him. Because you look at John Badham, War Games, Blue Thunder, Short Circuit, The Hard Way, was Stakeout, either action or stuff with maybe some humor in it. That seems more his forte, not so much suspense thriller. So yeah, I just don't think John Badham was the right guy for it. Again, if you took that movie of Brian De Palma, I think you could have had something special, but with the way he does the camera and the zooms and stuff, but oh well. I still think not just Johnny Depp, but Christopher Walken did a good job in it for what they were given to do. And number 10, Sleepy Hollow. I know it's not much of a performance, but he definitely has a presence when the few times you see him as the Headless Horseman. And the teeth and the look that he gives definitely gives an intimidation factor. Again, very, very few scenes he's in, but at the same time, I still can picture his mannerisms, his face, his movements. And, I mean, it's hard to give a performance when you can't talk and you have very few bits of screen time. But Walker was able to show, because I wasn't sure, like, you could see Pulp Fiction, which is, the one scene where he talks about the watch up his ass. And, I enjoy the film, I enjoy that scene. Just, I mean, there wasn't much talked about other than, he has his pocket watch up his ass. So, I mean, some could say, he's performing Pulp Fiction. Maybe True Romance could be in there as well. But I picked Sleepy Hollow, again. Because I think, the challenge, like I said, of little bit of screen time, just to use his eyes, his face, his movements. he still was effective in what little he had to work with. So just give a bit of, I thought it was commendable for what I did little he had to work with. So, but there you go with Christopher Walken. Because Brainstorm, I honestly, I don't think I've seen that film. Communion, I actually think that film is one of his kind of weaker films and weaker performances. Dogs of War, I couldn't get into either way, and McBain, I don't remember anything about. I think he was in Geely. I don't remember him in it though, like detail wise. So this is the list I'm going with. So, but he's still a good actor. I just, it's sad that in the past like 15 years, he's never really been given much of a role to really sink his teeth into, dramatic wise, or show all the range of emotions, which is too bad. It's too bad. I think maybe because it just became kind of a, not a meme, but yeah, how many people have tried to do the Christopher Walken voice and the mannerism and the pauses in his talking, and so Sally seemed like people just took him less seriously because of that. That's probably why he didn't get as many roles later in life of stature than he deserved. But go figure. So with that said, thanks for watching. Take care. We'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.